Alright, you jive turkeys, this is Chris Crazy House, and I'm going to talk about my favorite blaxploitation movies. Now, first of all, blaxploitation movies, the term is very broad because you can't really say what's blaxploitation and what's not. It's almost like they put any film that has black people from the 70s and they kind of categorize it as a blaxploitation. Some of these movies I consider just to be film in and of itself. I don't consider it exploitation or blaxploitation or whatever, but you know, American cinema needs to have categories for some reason, so it is what it is. And I'm going to use the term as a not out of disrespect, but as a just a broad statement, just to kind of categorize these things. Since, like I said, since American cinema needs to have categories. Now that being said, there are certain films that you won't see on my list, and not to say that I don't like them or that I hate them or anything, but for me they're just not my favorites, and that's just mainly based on, you know, how the movie maybe was directed or how the pacing is. You know, sometimes 70 movies can be kind of slow and kind of awkward as far as like how the scenes are put together and how they're edited. So you won't see Shaft, you won't see The Mac, you won't see Superfly, and you won't see Foxy Brown or Sweetback's Badass Song on my list. And not to say that I don't like those movies or that there's anything wrong with them per se. Like I said, they're just not my favorites. So let's go on to Chris Crazy House's top 10 blaxploitation films. And while I'm talking, I'm going to be drawing this picture of Black Dynamite versus the Hateocracy. So, number 10 is a movie called Trick Baby. And it came out in 1972. It's based on a book written by Iceberg Slim. And the basic plot is two hustlers in Philadelphia. And, you know, they've hustled some gangsters, they've hustled some cops, they're hustling some rich people out of some real estate. And the whole thing is the two hustlers, they're both black, but one he looks like a white guy, like he can pass for white. So they use this to their advantage as far as hustling people out of money and stuff. And I thought it was a very interesting movie and a very interesting look. They have some very interesting points as far as class and race and how the difference between how conservatives and how liberals deal with black people and with black issues. And there's this one really weird scene in the movie where the character that can pass for white, his name is actually White Folks in the movie. But like he gets this white girlfriend, and she gets like sprung on this dude, and she like almost goes crazy when he doesn't want to be with her. It's a very weird scene. Like it's almost one of those scenes like almost like a Lifetime movie where it just takes this weird turn for the strange or something like that. It's kind of overacted, but I thought it was funny in and of itself. Number 9 on my list is this movie. It's called Abby, and it's been described as the black version of The Exorcist. It's about this preacher's wife who gets possessed by this African demon, I think a demon from West Africa, and her father-in-law, who's played by the guy that plays Blackula in a lot of these blaxploitation movies, he's been doing some studies and he knows how to kind of stop the demon. Very interesting movie. The first time I saw it was last year, and I just thought it was hilarious. And what made me laugh about it was when the demon actually takes over the woman. Of course, she's like this very pure and nice and chaste woman, like everyone loves her. But when she's taken over by the demon, she's using all types of profanity. She almost sounds like Freddy Krueger, which is kind of funny to me. So I would definitely say check out this movie. It's definitely worth the watch. Number 8 is this movie called BUCKTOWN, and this is also one that I saw recently, and I actually really enjoyed this movie, like it because it has kind of a difference in the plot twist there. And it's starring Fred Williamson. I think I don't know if it's his brother or his father gets murdered in this, like, you know, hick town. So he goes back to the town and brings some of his friends from the city, and they kind of kick out the racist and the white supremacist and the crooked sheriffs and the crooked law officers. But where the twist comes in is like his friends, they want to stay there and kind of take over the town for themselves, and that was never Fred Williamson's point. He just wanted to save the town. He didn't want his friends to come in there and start exploiting the people there. So once they start doing that, then he has to kind of turn on his friends and winds up fighting his best friend. Like they wind up having this very long and drawn out fight. Like I love this is why this movie's on the list is almost because of this fight. Like a lot of people talk about the fight in the movie They Live, how that's long and drawn out. But this fight is even better in my opinion. It takes place in different venues. Like they start out upstairs, they fight down the stairs, and then I think it ends outside. So yeah, if you want to see this movie, just see it. You can see it just for the fight scene at the end. It's a great fight scene. Number 7 is a movie called Sugar Hill, and this is a Blaxploitation zombie movie, I guess you could say, zombie revenge movie. And it's about a young lady named Sugar. When her boyfriend is killed by the mob, she goes to this voodoo priestess, and she raises up some zombies to help her get revenge. Now, these are zombies in the classical sense of what a zombie is, which is just a dead person brought back by voodoo. So they're not eating flesh, and they're not biting you or anything like that, but they're dead people that work on your command. And I can't remember what the actress's name is that was in the movie, but she was very attractive, first and foremost. I liked her better. She was more attractive when she had the natural hair. She almost kind of looks like Ari Parker from the Soul Food series. So she kind of looks like that. Number 6 is a movie called Friday Foster. And this is a movie starring Pam Grier. And she's playing a photographer that's getting caught up in like this whole story of intrigue. She finds out about a plot that's out to kill this guy named Blake Tarr, who's almost he's kind of like the Black Howard Hughes. That's what they call him in the movie. Or, you know, for modern people, if you want to call him the Black Tony Stark, he's an inventor and also a playboy. But these guys are out to kill him. And Friday Foster, this photographer, she finds out about it. Now, this has an all-star cast. It has, like, Pam Grier, Yaphet Kotto, for those who don't know who that is. He was in the movie Alien. It has Eartha Kitt. Carl Weathers is in this, a.k.a. Apollo Creed. Very cool movie, very fun movie, and it's also based on the comic strip, which I love. So that made me want to watch the movie just because I found out about the comic strip first. Number 5 is a movie called Mandingo, and this one is from my childhood. I remember seeing this a million times probably during my childhood, but it stars the late great boxing legend Ken Norton playing a slave, a Mandingo slave, and they made him to be a fighter. And for those who saw the movie Django Unchained, the movie Django Unchained took a lot from this movie, Mandingo. But I guess it really focuses more on his slave master and like the slave master's relationship with this slave named Black Pearl. And, you know, the father, he doesn't approve of this relationship. He wants his son to get married, so he gets him to marry his cousin. Yeah, that happened a lot back then. But then, like, Mandingo, because the master is sleeping with his slaves, the wife thinks she should do the same, so she sleeps with Mandingo and gets pregnant, has a black baby, and it all boils to a head by the end of the movie. So a lot of good points in this movie. A lot of people just consider this just pure exploitation of slavery, but I think you should watch it. I think it's more historically accurate than a lot of the slave movies that do come out. Number 4 is Cooley High, and this movie I like to call this is like the growing up years of my dad's generation, pretty much. And every time I look at my dad's yearbook or some of his old pictures from high school, this is pretty much just like the guys from Cooley High. But anybody from any generation who's growing up can kind of identify with this movie, and I think it's just a great movie. And this is also another one from my childhood. I just love this movie. But it's about, you know, several friends growing up in Chicago during the early 60s, I believe. And, you know, just out doing knucklehead stuff. You know, they kind of getting into trouble, maybe getting into a few fights, trying to get girls, skipping school. And one is, you know, very smart. He wants to be a writer. The other one's going to be like a super athlete, a basketball star. And spoiler alert, the one that's the athlete, Coach, he's winds up getting killed by the end of the movie. And, you know, it's very sad. And this is where you get the song, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday. Even before Boyz II Men remade the song, this is where the song comes from. So very good movie, and I recommend anybody watching it of any race because I think you'll definitely enjoy it. Number 3 is The Education of Sonny Carlson, and this is also a very well done film. And some people don't consider it blaxploitation; some consider it just a film. But it's based off the autobiography of a guy who was an actual gang member, and just his early life during the 50s and getting into those gang fights back then, and then wound up going to prison and coming out and just seeing the whole neighborhood completely change. But very good movie. For those who have never seen it, you know the quotes from the movie because Ghostface Killer used a lot of the quotes from the movie on his album Iron Man. So a lot of the interludes and stuff like that are taken directly from this movie. And like I said, it's a very, very good story. I watched it again last year just to kind of refresh my memory on it, and it was still just as good the second time watching it. Very good performances by all the actors in the movie. You may even recognize one of the gang members plays. He later went on to play Cyrus in the movie The Warriors. Number 2 is the first Pam Grier film that I ever saw. It's called Coffee. And to me, I like this more than her other movies that she did, even more than Friday Foster, more than Sheba Baby, more than Foxy Brown. I know Foxy Brown is like everyone's favorite, but this one is the one for me. And it's about a young lady, her sister, I think, is hooked on drugs and like goes into like almost like this weird coma, or she becomes mentally unstable. She's like in a mental hospital. Then like her friend gets beat up. Her friend who's a cop, he gets beat up because, you know, she's been out there killing drug dealers and stuff like that as like a vigilante. So she decides to go undercover into this organization as a prostitute. And by the end, she winds up killing everybody. She even kills the crooked senator that was down with the drug dealers who was letting drugs into the community. So she winds up shooting him in the nuts by the end of the movie. Very good movie, a lot of good action. I thought it was almost like a Steven Seagal type action movie, but with a female as the hero. I know a lot of people criticize it because I guess there's some nude scenes where Pam Grier shows her breast, but it is what it is. I know a lot of actresses go that route. So, like I said, as far as being a fun action movie, I enjoyed it. And number 1 is one of my favorite films of all time. Not just favorite blaxploitation films. It's The Spook Who Sat by the Door. And a good description of this movie, someone put it on Facebook. They said a brother joins the CIA, then he leaves and uses his knowledge of the CIA and all their tactics to train gang members in the hood, and then they bang on the beast. And that's pretty much the best description I could have ever heard of this movie. But yeah, that's basically it. This guy, he joins the CIA, he passes all their tests, and he goes back to his hometown in Chicago and trains all the gang members and starts a new American revolution, essentially. And, you know, this film was written and I think it was directed by Sam Greenlee. This is a good lesson for independent filmmakers. You need to watch, like, maybe the making of this film and just all that he went through to make it. He also wrote a book simultaneously to go with the movie. So just and it's one of the films that kicked off the whole blaxploitation era. But it's beyond that. To me, like I said, it's just a great film. And I love this movie. Has a lot of good lessons as far as like being black and living as a black person here in America. A lot of the problems that we do have with class and everything else. So definitely check this movie out. It's well worth the watch, well worth buying. You can get it on, they just re-released it on DVD, so pick it up if you can. And that is my top 10. I'm going to put the trailers for all the movies in the description box. You can check out this artwork here of Black Dynamite. Black Dynamite is kind of a parody of the blaxploitation era. They did a movie with Michael Jai White, but it's also an animated series that's appeared on Adult Swim. So yeah, check out both of them. Like I said, it's kind of a parody, but in a loving way. And the Hateocracy are from the Boondocks. They're a gang of ignorant old folks that like to beat up, that are trying to get revenge on Granddad. So you can buy the print on DeviantArt. I'm going to post that link as well in my description box. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my list. Let me know what your favorite blaxploitation movie is in the comments section. Chris Crazy House signing out. Peace.